Whenever you're ready, let's find our way to our yoga mats. We'll start laying down today. Go ahead and grab any extra props, cushions, pillows, comfort items that you'd like. I'm grabbing a little blanket for underneath my head. And maybe find Shavasana with your arms and legs outstretched, taking up as much space as you want. If your low back doesn't like the lying flat, you could bend your knees and stand your feet up at the edges of your mat, and then allow your knees to rest together at the center. And as you start to settle, check in with yourself and see what's up with you today. Physically, emotionally, mentally, or beyond. How full is your energy tank? And is there an intention that you'd like to set for today's practice? Maybe having to do with the reason you practice yoga, or maybe a little extra love and energy sent to someone in your life or a group of people. And as you continue to contemplate an intention, let's start to equalize our inhales and exhales, samavriti, equal breathing, inhaling and exhaling for the same amount of time. You count it out for yourself. How long does a easy, sweet inhale last for you? And can you make your exhale last just as long? Equal breathing, samavriti, pranayama is said to bring balance to the mind and to the hemispheres of the body and brain. If you want to experiment with this style of breath a little farther, you could try kind of blurring the inhales and the exhales together. So the least amount of pause in between, letting each inhale flow right into the exhales, right back into the inhale. This is the smooth variation. You can try that for a while. And if you want to explore farther, this one's kind of like a swing. I imagine it like a swing. You kind of get a little bit of hang time in between, swinging forward and swinging backward. So maybe you inhale and kind of hang there between before exhaling. So just like a little pause, hang time between each part of the breath. Start to smooth your breath out again, finding a natural rhythm to your breath. And we'll take 3 clearing breaths together next. Inhale through your nose and sigh or blow it out. 2 more like that. Returning to that steady, sweet pace of breath as you begin to wiggle fingers and toes. Maybe circle ankles and wrists a little bit. And we'll reach long for a full body stretch here, arms and legs reaching in opposite directions, maybe pointing the toes or spreading out the toes and the fingers. Go ahead and add some embellishments if you want, however it comes to you. And if you have any props beneath you, let's move those to the side for now. Or stand your feet up here. We'll go through breathing bridge pose. If you have a block handy, we can place a block between the knees or thighs. I like it on the smallest setting, but you might like it on a different level there. Let's plant the hands down by our sides and tuck the shoulder blades in beneath you. Check in with the low back now and tuck your tailbone under until your low back more or less flattens down to the mat. With an inhale, let's rise up, bridge pose, hip points, lifting straight up. And exhale, lower down. Let's do that a few more times. Just go with your own breath, inhaling as you rise. Exhaling as you lower. As you continue, see if you can sense the muscles that are working here. Can you tell specifically which muscles are involved? And that's kind of a loaded question because there's a common train of thought that, where everything's connected in the body. Our fascia, that kind of webbing like substance around our muscle fibers and muscle groups connects everything in the body. So maybe you can just locate the major muscles that are working. And when you're done, when you get to a point that feels complete, just lower back down, remove that block, and hug your knees in toward your chest. This time we're going to tuck the chin toward your chest and then lift your forehead toward your heels. Give your body a nice tight squeeze here for a moment. This is great for the lymphatic system. And then go ahead and lower back down, continuing to hold on to your knees. Just take some free movement here. So rocking some weight around your low back and sacrum. Okay. Go ahead and find your way up to a seat, maybe rocking and rolling a couple of times up and down your spine or pressing onto either side and then coming on up. And we'll join hands at heart center here. Feel free to close your eyes as you tune in to the sensation of just sitting upward, upright. Lengthening through the crown of your head, a slight tuck of your chin, just like a half tuck, so that the back of your neck feels long. With an inhale, start to lift your palms straight up. And then exhale, lower your arms around and down. I think this one feels so good when you have your eyes closed. Inhale, arms reach back up. And exhale, palms join down at heart center. Keep going now, a couple more times. Inhaling as you rise. Exhaling as you lower. Inhale as you rise. And exhale as you lower. Take a moment to notice, does it feel like you're able to sit in this position a while longer, or do you want to grab some blocks or props to sit on? We're going to be here for a little while, so take a moment to get extra comfy, grabbing props if you want to use them. Highly recommend sitting on a little something, even if you don't like technically need to. It's just helpful. If your hip flexors are, if you're looking more like your knees are kind of way up here and you have the tighter legs, that's fine. Let's grab blocks and just prop your legs up wherever they're at so they have nice support. Just a treat, I think. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of hand and wrist and forearm work today. I've just been feeling like my wrists need some love. So let's go ahead and just start by reaching your hands out in front of you and wiggling all of your fingers. You can do them and you can kind of get like a chaotic motion going with your fingers, or more of a slow and fluid type of movement. Maybe starting to circle a little bit here with the fingers still out. And then at some point here, let's just have a gentle fist, not squeezing too hard, and circle around like so. You can always bring your hands down to keeping it chill. Okay. Make sure to go both directions. Okay, then let's stick the hands or the arms back out. Curl your fingers in. So you're making that gentle fist again, and then curl the wrist down. I'll come a little closer. I don't know if you can see that. So we're just grabbing gentle fists and curling in. Just go ahead and do that a few times. Opening, curling, all the way. A few times through. Maybe you can feel all those connections all the way up through the forearms. If you want, adding on a little bit of a rocking at the bottom. Okay. Continue as long as you'd like. And then next, we'll bring our hands back together at heart center. Just take a look at your hands. Notice how flat or not your hands are. Sometimes when our hands are stiff, we get kind of like a bubbling effect through the hands. That's fine, but just notice what feels okay. If you want to go a little farther, you can lower your hands down. Maybe your palms can start to come apart slightly at the bottom, and you feel like a nice stretch through the fingers and through the wrists. You can kind of move with it, bringing them back together and then lower a few times. Ooh, my wrist cracked a little bit there. Okay. Great. All right, so let's just bring the hands down for a second. If you want to switch the cross of your legs, go right ahead. We're going to start with next we're moving into a little hand massage. So you'll simply, either hand to start, you'll simply just start by squeezing around the palm of your hand, just gently squeezing and releasing, or creating kind of a digging massage type of vibe, or just squeeze and release. Just figuring out what feels nice to you. And make sure you spend a little time with each finger and the knuckles. Each and every finger and fingertip. Take your time. Don't forget the thumb. In between the thumb and the pointer finger can be a nice spot to just press a little as well. It's said to be a good spot for pressing if you have a headache. It's supposed to alleviate that. I don't really usually get headaches, so I've never tried that for myself. Okay, now start to move up to your wrist, just kind of holding and releasing around your wrist. Maybe grabbing hold of your wrist and then circling the wrist around and just feeling if there's any spots that feel like they need a little extra pressure. Moving up to your forearm when you're ready, just giving it a good little squeeze. You might notice when you squeeze in certain places, your fingers like automatically move. I always think that's so cool. It's the tendons, of course. And when you're ready, just give it a little shake. We'll switch sides next. So moving to the other hand, just starting with the palm. Either that kind of circular digging pressure or a little squeeze and release. If it feels hard or uncomfortable to use your hand, to use your hand for this the whole time, and you want to try it out a little later, it's so nice to use like a little tool. You can even use like a spoon, or if you have like a smooth crystal or rock, any kind of smooth little object can really alleviate all of the work needed from the other hand massaging. And then moving up to each finger. Some attention with each finger. Keep on going. Don't forget the thumb and that little spot, that little squishy spot right between your thumb and your pointer. So nice. And then starting to move up to the wrist and forearm, squeezing a little bit around the wrist, maybe holding the wrist and then rotating your hand. A little more squeezing all the way up the forearm. All right. Give it a little shake out when you're done with that. Let's bring the shoulders up by the ears and then circle them down and back. Let's do that 2 more times. We'll inhale as we bring the shoulders up and then exhale as they circle down and back. 1 more like that. Inhale, shoulders lift. Exhale down and back. Good. Let's move along to cat and cow next. If you prefer to stay seated, you certainly can for cat and cow. We'll just be rounding back and then pushing the chest forward. If you like the all fours tabletop position, check in with your knees, see if you need a little extra cushion. And then bring the hands below the shoulders, the knees below the hips. With your inhale, find your cow pose, lowering your belly, lifting your gaze and your tailbone. And exhale to round your spine, tuck your tailbone, tuck your chin, push into the floor, cat pose. Inhale, cow, belly lowers, gaze lifts. Exhale, cat. Keep going if it feels right to you. Adding on any little twists or turns or variations as you go. And we'll find our way to extended child's pose next, bringing the knees out wide, big toes touch behind you. Start to sink your seat toward your heels a little bit. You can come right back up and do that a couple of times if that feels helpful. And maybe settling in at some point here, possibly coming down to your forearms. or walking your hands out toward the top of your mat and then lowering your head and heart toward the ground. If you take the forearm variation, it's really nice to have a block underneath your head so there's just no extra effort necessary through the neck. Breathe low down into the lowest parts of your lungs. Can feel like you're breathing into your belly because the belly expands in all directions with each inhale. Everything softening and sweetening with each exhale. You're welcome to stay right here. We're going to thread the needle next. You can either take that here from our extended child's pose position, or you can come back up to tabletop. So either way, we're going to plant the right hand down and start to lift the left arm high. Upward twist. Hang out there for a little bit. And with an exhale, thread the needle. So the left hand dips down and through, setting your left shoulder and left side of your head on some support or the floor if you comfortably reach. Start to tune into the left shoulder joint, the left shoulder blade. See if you can send the energy of your breath to that left shoulder. See if that works for you. And then we'll plant the right hand down. Start to lift your way back up. Left arm goes high, right back to our upward twist. And then we'll switch sides. Left hand planting down, right hand rising high, upward twist. Hanging out here for a moment or two, and then eventually using an exhale to thread the needle. The right hand dips down and through this time, right shoulder, right side of the head, finding support. And expanding your awareness now of the right shoulder joint and the right shoulder blade. Sending your breath there. And plant your left hand back down, lift the right arm high, one last upward twist, and then lower both hands down. If you are using a prop underneath you, you might move that to the side for now. Let's start to lower to the belly. So legs straightening. And crocodile pose is where we'll start. So stacking your hands or fists or forearms beneath your forehead, and then resting your forehead on top, letting your heels splay out to the sides, softening through the pelvis, through the legs, your back and shoulders, resting here just for a few moments, letting the knees, come back, come back from all of that crunched sitting. You have the option to stay still here or bend your knees and let your feet sway side to side in a windshield wiper like motion. This can be nice for your low back. You can kind of add on to this by kind of swooping your legs or your feet from one side to the other, more or less straightening them, and then rebending on each side. Kind of feels fun to me. Okay. Lowering your feet back down when you're ready. Start to find our way to baby cobra. So we'll plant the hands underneath the shoulders, next to the ribs. Hug your elbows in to your sides. Press your feet down a lot. With your inhale, lifting your head and chest using the strength of the muscles around the spine and core. If you're not sure those are the ones working, you can hover your hands up off of the floor and you'll find out very quick what's working or not. And then finding an exhale to lower. Let's do that again. Inhale to rise up. Option to hover your hands up, or for an extra challenging variation, reaching your hands out in front of you. Exhale, lower down. One more time, or a couple more times, playing with any variations you want to try. Inhaling as you lift. Eventually using an exhale as you lower. Feel the entire backside of your body, the posterior chain, it's called. Everything's working back there, especially if you're pressing the tops of your feet down into the mat. Good. With an inhale, let's rise up to tabletop and find our downward facing dog, using blocks if you have them and you like them. Blocks or not, fingertips will still be spread out. Active hands here. Curl your toes under, lift the knees, send your tailbone high, pressing your chest through the arms toward your thighs. Downward dog. Find your breath here first. And maybe adding a little bit of movement, bending and straightening opposite knees. Especially if you have sensitive wrists here, make sure that your fingertips are gripping down. This will help alleviate all of the pressure in your wrists. Also, pressing weight between the thumb and pointer finger can also help. If that still is not helpful enough, you can take this from the wall or from a chair, reaching your hands to the seat of the chair or the wall. All right, let's bend the knees deeply. Look up toward your hands. With your exhale, walk your hands to the back of your mat. So you end up in a ragdoll forward fold at the back of your mat. Your feet could step out a little wider if you like. Maybe swaying a bit here as long as your breath is still flowing. If it doesn't feel nice to be in this forward fold, another option is to come to a halfway lift position with your hands maybe on your shins or up on your thighs. You can still get a nice stretching sensation through the back of the legs there. And bend nice and deep through the knees and start to make your way up to stand. So walking your hands up your legs. Eventually, head, neck, and shoulders will rise. Find some kind of opening position with your arms spreading out, your heart open, wide here, maybe looking up. I think this can be considered like a power stance too. Doesn't it feel like it? All right, and if you want to add on a little bit of shaking or bouncing, now is our chance to do that. We can lift and lower the heels a couple times, getting that nice deep bounce going through the tissues of the body. You could add on the arms or the shoulders a little bit. You could shake each part a little bit individually. There's no right or wrong here. We're just moving and getting our circulation flowing. Maybe a couple little hops if that feels safe to you. All right. We'll find stillness at the back of the mat when you're ready. Flip your palms to face the front of your space. Make sure your feet are comfortable. Give your toes a little wiggle and set them back down. With an inhale, reach both hands high. Exhale, bend your left elbow, grab hold of the left elbow, and we're just going to stretch our arms like so. Keep breathing like normal here. And eventually using an exhale to side bend toward the right. We'll come back up with the inhale, stay on this side, and exhale, side bend to the right. One more time, inhale to rise. Exhale, bending to the right. Inhale, lift both hands high. This time, the right elbow bends, kind of grabbing hold of the back of your neck if you can reach, and then the left hand grabbing hold of your right elbow. Inhale, standing nice and tall, and exhale, side bend to the left. Inhale, rise to the center. Exhale, bend to the left. One more time, inhale to rise. Exhale, bend left. Inhale, rise back up, lift both hands high. And exhale, swan dive, forward fold, hinging at your hips, arms reaching wide, and then down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, walk your hands all the way out to your blocks, downward facing dog. 3 breaths here in your down dog. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Last breath in. Last breath out. Inhale, bend your knees, look up toward your hands. Exhale, walk your hands to the back of your mat, forward fold at the back. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive. So the arms go wide first, then we're hinging up, eventually joining hands overhead. And exhale, hands down to heart center. 3 breaths here, just letting everything catch up. Remembering your intention if you set one today. And let's take a clearing breath in through the nose. Sigh through your mouth. Inhale, hands go high. Exhale, swan dive right away. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, walk your hands out, downward facing dog. Breathing in here and out. Inhale, roll forward to your high plank. So we're kind of rounding the back, coming forward so the shoulders are over the wrists. Lower your knees here, exhaling all the way back to child's pose. We're going to flow with this here. So inhale, rise back up, tabletop. Exhale, plank to down dog. Inhale. Exhale, let's do that again. Inhale, roll forward, high plank, shoulders over wrists. Exhale, knees lower, child's pose, sinking your seat toward your heels. One breath in here and out. Inhale, rise up, tabletop. Exhale, plank to down dog. One breath in. Let's do this one more time. And breath out. Last time through. Inhale, rolling forward to your high plank. Exhale, knees lower, child's pose. One big breath here. Inhale, table. Exhale, plank to downward dog, our last down dog. One last breath in and out. Inhale, bend your knees, look up toward your hands. Exhale, walk your hands to the back of your mat, forward fold at the back. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees a little bit here. Inhale, reverse swan dive, arms reaching out wide first, hinging upward through the hips, joining hands overhead. Exhale, hands down to heart center, taking a couple of moments to find or sense or create some balance in your experience. And a clearing breath in through the nose, sigh through the mouth. Blinking your eyes open if they were closed. Let's do a little bit of balancing today. We'll explore tree pose, grabbing a wall or getting close enough so you can grab a wall, or grabbing your blocks if you want them. I'm going to try a variation today of tree pose that involves 2 blocks stacked. So you always can do you, but I'm always offering suggestions. So maybe grabbing your blocks if you want. Okay, let's shift all the way to the left foot first. If you're using a stack of blocks, make sure your left foot is pretty close to your stack of blocks, and then hold on to something for support as you step your toes up on top of your blocks. You can use 1 block if you prefer. You can hold on for support, opening that right hip out toward the right side. Find a place for your arms, maybe out wide or at heart center, or holding on to something. If possible, choosing an unmoving focal point in front of you, just to gaze straight at, focusing. Check in with your breath here. Let it flow. If you'd like to take arm variations, you're always welcome to move a little bit. Arms could lift or lower. You could pick your toes up off of the blocks for a second if you feel steady, or set them back down. Just make sure you're working within your range here today. Let's have just about 1 more breath. And eventually setting everything back down, shake out your left leg. And we'll switch sides. So now the inside of that right foot is standing very close to your stack of blocks. If that was too much to have both blocks there on the first round, let's start maybe just with 1, or 1 on the medium setting. It's up to you. We'll step the left foot up onto your blocks, opening the left hip outward toward the left side. Find your drishti, that unmoving focal point somewhere in front of you, focusing and breathing. One of my teachers would always say that the trick is to focus more on breathing than on balancing. Mixed opinions on that one. Sometimes it works. Any arm variations you'd like to take here, or foot variations, make it your own. Let's have about 1 or 2 more breaths. And then lowering down. Nice. Okay, let's come on down to the ground, heading to your back. If there are any last movements or poses or stretches that you'd like to incorporate here, feel free. Taking maybe a long body stretch or a little bit of a twist, bringing the legs down to one side or the other. Maybe you're a happy baby kind of person. Anything that feels right as you wrap up the physical part of today's practice. And then just moving into your final resting pose at some point soon, if you plan on resting. And it could look very similar to how you started today, with our legs either standing up in constructive rest pose or arms and legs reaching out for Shavasana, corpse pose. Adding or subtracting anything you see fit. Sensing into the parts of your body that are touching the ground. Imagine yourself relaxing so much that the amount of your body touching the ground grows and grows as you just melt a little bit. Considering for a moment the word and sensation of rigidity or stiffness. Notice if there's anywhere in your body that feels rigid or stiff. And it's not good or bad, it just is sensation. And see if you can notice a place in your body that feels expansive or relaxed. And as you slow your breath a little bit, you might continue to explore any other sensations you're able to name or witness in your own experience, or just simply rest here for a few more minutes. Smoothing out your face. Relaxing your jaw and shoulders. Noticing the fingertips and the toes. Inviting in more rest. Less thinking. Maybe even creating some space or some hang time in between thoughts. Softer and softer yet. Meltier and meltier. Giving your body some time to integrate today's practice. As always, you are more than welcome to stay right here and continue your rest as long as you have time for. If you are ready to begin the reawakening process, do so slowly with a little movements, maybe some wiggles of fingers and toes. Maybe slowly letting your head rock from side to side. Maybe a yawn or a swallow. Continuing your movement and eventually choosing a side and rolling to the fetal position, slightly tucking in the knees. Taking a full round of breath here, trying not to get ahead of yourself. And at the bottom of an exhale, use the help of your arms to press your way up to a comfortable seat, maybe sitting up on some blocks. If it feels right to you to join hands at heart center, we'll do so. Maybe keeping the eyes closed if you prefer. Om Bolo Shri Satguru Bhagavan Ki Jai. The greatest teacher of them all lives within. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Together, bringing thumbs up to third eye center, just between and above the eyebrows. And we'll seal our class in together with a little bow of gratitude. Peace.